In a sport as unpredictable as MMA, fighters are constantly looking for a competitive advantage over their opponents. But at what point does the intentional mutilation of your own body become sanctioned cheating? Or even worse, fatal? We're peeling back the curtain on the most quietly controversial aspect of combat sports and breaking down just how bad the UFC's weight cutting problem really is. Whether it's boxing, wrestling, or any other combat sport, weight classes exist as a method of promoting fair competition. But with rapidly evolving techniques, access to new technology, and expanded teams that now include doctors, dietitians, and other experts, weight cuts have gotten drastically larger and more dangerous. Whether it's Alex Pereira blowing up over 40 pounds between weighing in and fighting, or Khabib nearly dying on the scale, the last few years have given us countless examples of just how bad things have gotten. But how exactly are the fighters pulling this off? And what impact is it having on their short and long-term health?
If we have to carry him and stick him on a scale, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get him to that weight class.
In a nutshell, weight cutting is the process where fighters aggressively manipulate their body's water content to rapidly shed extra weight, usually around 10 to 15 pounds. Cuts typically involve some combination of water intake reduction, fluid draining through the use of sanctioned diuretics, glycogen depletion by cutting carbohydrates, and then the use of saunas, sweatsuits, and extremely hot baths to promote excessive sweating.
Chris, you need to breathe. You need to breathe. Yeah.
However, what's commonly misunderstood is that these methods lead to temporary water weight loss, not actual fat loss, meaning that as soon as the fighter begins to rehydrate, they can regain upwards of 30 pounds in less than 24 hours. One of the best examples of how quickly the process can be reversed came from Justin Gaethje, who once put up an Instagram just an hour after weigh-ins showing he had already put over 10 pounds of water weight back on, while his opponent Charles Oliveira was still in the process of cutting his final half pound.
That's fucking illegal.
And while they do gain the weight back, this doesn't undo the damage done to your body. This extreme process can lead to severe dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, organ stress, and cognitive impairments. And in a sport that requires you to be explosive and get hit in the head a lot, it's not a good mix. To picture the impact a bad weight cut has on your body in the short term, think back to Dan Hooker when he tried dropping to featherweight last year. He worked closely with the PI and made weight without any real challenge just to get brutalized by Arnold Allen. And while I don't want to take anything away from Arnold because it was a great win, that's just not the Dan Hooker that we know. Dan and Arnold are pretty evenly matched fighters with similar skill sets, but at 145, Dan's body was completely depleted. And it's not like you can make the argument that his chin is just shot at this point in his career, because he went back up to 155 in his last fight and ate a clean head kick from Jalen Turner without even flinching.
Just a scratch.
Another great example of this is Dustin Poirier. At featherweight, he was labeled as a chinny fighter who gets wobbled all the time. And at lightweight, aside from Justin Gaethje's most recent highlight, he's nearly invincible. And the craziest part is that he's still probably fighting at a weight class lower than what he should be.
I mean, you were a big 145.
I would walk around 190.
Fucking illegal.
Those are examples where the fighter actually made it off the scale and into the octagon. The worst side of weight cutting happens before the fight, and the worst stories are often never even told. Former lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov had some outright terrifying weight cuts during his career. And while it wasn't talked about a lot, he was forced to pull out of a fight more than once due to severe dehydration. And that number would probably be even higher if it wasn't for the help of some friendly commissions. But hey,
who cares?
His scariest moment, however, came in the lead up to UFC 209, when Khabib was hospitalized and, in his own words, almost dead, while trying to cut weight for his fight with Tony Ferguson, robbing fans of the biggest what if in the history of the sport. It's a dangerous balancing act between finding a competitive edge and maintaining bodily integrity, but with pretty much everyone doing it, it's unclear if there's even much of an advantage anymore. Regardless, the process is so deeply ingrained in the sport's DNA that no one person can stop it. And as a result, the fighters are continuously putting themselves in danger for almost no reason at all.
It makes no sense to me.
So what can the UFC actually do about it? Currently, the only action being taken by the UFC to keep fighters safe is the implementation of early weigh-ins, allowing fighters added rehydration time. But whether or not this has any substantial impact is debatable. The PI also provides resources for healthier weight management, but as outlined in the Dan Hooker example, there just isn't any real evidence to show that it's helping. If the UFC decided to tackle the issue internally, the two methods most commonly believed to have an actual impact on fighter safety are the creation of additional weight classes or the implementation of hydration tests that force fighters to compete close to or at their everyday weight. Fighters and fans often point to the 15-pound gap between lightweight and welterweight as a point of contention, suggesting that an additional 165-pound division in between would offer a better opportunity for fighters who are too small for welterweight but too big to cut to 155. And yes, certain guys like Colby Covington or Dustin Poirier would greatly benefit from a hypothetical 165-pound division, but it fails to address the problem as a whole. If no one is currently fighting anywhere near their natural weight, why would they start unless they were forced? Because let's be real, this is a violent sport played by trained killers. They are not giving up a perceived advantage, whether it's real or not, unless you force them. And if that is the case, which it certainly appears to be, it's only a matter of time until something truly awful happens. And I don't say that for clickbait, I say that because it's the truth. In 2015, 21-year-old ONE FC flyweight Yang Jianbing died due to cardiopulmonary failure, a direct consequence of the extreme methods he employed to cut weight. In response to Bing's death, ONE Championship introduced an industry-pioneering walking weight system. This system demands that fighters maintain a weight close to their natural day-to-day weight and compete in weight classes aligned with this natural weight. To enforce the policy, ONE Championship implemented hydration tests to ensure fighters are not dehydrating themselves to make weight. These urine-specific gravity tests are conducted multiple times leading up to the fight, including the day of weigh-in and the fight day itself. By testing their hydration levels during camp, they have a baseline level to compare to on weigh-in day, blocking fighters from using severe dehydration as a way to cut extra weight. This essentially forces them to fight at their natural weight. Implementing a similar policy in the UFC is quite possibly the only way to encourage fighters to compete at a healthier weight, and should seriously be considered as a way forward for the sport. Because as we're all seeing, there are some negative and quite frankly terrifying long-term impacts that the sport is having on retired fighters. It's never been more important for the UFC to take accountability for fighter safety than it is right now. But what do you think? Should it be a fighter's decision whether they want to put themselves in danger, or should the UFC be seriously considering taking a stance on the issue? Let me know your thoughts, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to let YouTube know that we're making some of the best MMA content in the game. And since you are a fellow fight fan, we just popped up a video that you're going to love on the screen right now.